Hola clase. Okay, today we are going to talk about articles. So in English, articles are words like the and an. And so I'm going to teach you guys how to use these in Spanish so that you can start writing some sentences about yourself and your family and stuff like that. So we're going to start with the word the. In Spanish, there are actually 4 words that mean the. And the reason that there are 4 words is because Spanish, all nouns are divided by gender. So they're either masculine or feminine. So if there are boys or girls. So if I was talking about a boy, okay, I was going to use the masculine form. So I'm going to start right here. And I'm just going to label this one right here as masculine. And then over here, I'm going to label this one as feminine. Okay. And then also in Spanish, what's interesting is that we have singular and plural, just like we do in English. So if we're talking about the boys or the girls. So over here, I'm going to put an S for singular and I'm going to put a P for plural. Okay. All right. So in Spanish, if I want to say the boy, so I'm talking about one boy, so it's masculine and it's singular, I'm going to say el. Now this is different than the word he. Okay, the word he in Spanish has an accent over the E. That one doesn't. So without an accent, it means the. So for example, if I want to say the boy, I say el muchacho. If I want to say the friend, I'd say el amigo. If I want to say the male teacher, I'd say el profesor. Okay, the feminine version, I'm sure you guys probably know this. It's la. Okay, so if I'm saying the girl, instead of saying muchacho, I'm going to make it muchacha, and I'm going to say la muchacha. Same thing if it was a friend that was a girl, I'd say la amiga. And if it was a female teacher, I'd say la profesora. Okay, now if it was plural, let's say I had a group of boys. So masculine still, so I'm going to stay in the masculine side. And then right here, I'm going to use plural. And this form is los. So los muchachos, that means the boys. Los amigos, the friends, okay? And then the feminine side, if I want to say a group of girls, I'm going to say las. So las muchachas, las amigas. Okay, so those are the 4 words that all mean the. So if you want to use the in a sentence, you're going to use one of these 4, el, la, los, las. And it depends on which one you're going to use. So you have to look at your noun. So if you're using the word muchacho, okay, you'd look at the ending. If it ended with O, that's masculine. And there's not an S there, so it's not plural. So you'd use L. Okay, if it was amiga, let's say it was feminine instead of masculine. So let's change that to an A. Okay, so one girl. Okay, so that would be la amiga. What if it was plural? What if it was muchachos? Okay, then it would be los. What if it was amigas? Okay, then it would be las. Okay, all right, good. I'm going to kind of see if I can, I'll just leave that there for now. Okay, all right, so 4 words for the, el, la, los, and las. Okay, now over here we have indefinite articles, and these are also articles, but they're kind of non-specific. So it's like a computer, an apple, some friends. Okay, so if I'm not being specific, I'm like, hey, why don't you invite some friends? Okay, we wouldn't necessarily say, hey, why don't you invite the friends? That sounds a little weird. So in Spanish, they also have indefinite articles. And the same thing happens over here. We have a masculine form and a feminine form. And then we also have singular forms and we have plural forms, okay? All right, so let's go back to the masculine singular form. So if I was talking about a friend, okay, so I'd say un amigo if it was a boy, and if it was a girl, I'd say una amiga. So you guys have learned these words before when we did like un sandwich and una ensalada, okay? So it's just saying All right, down here, if I want to say some or many of them. So I'm saying, oh, some friends. Okay, so I'd say unos amigos. But if it was a group of girls' friends, I'd say unas. Okay, so you also have to choose when you're talking about an indefinite article if you're not being specific, like you're just like, oh, I want to invite a friend, or I need some apples, or something like that. This is the article you want to use. If you're talking about something specific, like I need to go see the teacher of Spanish, the Spanish teacher, then you're going to use one of these. Okay? All right, so let's talk about using these in sentences. So I'm going to delete this down here real quick. And we'll just start with the word muchacho. So muchacho means boy. So if I want to say the boy, what am I going to use? L, good, because it's masculine. Okay, what if I change this to a feminine version and it was girl? Now this time I want to say, instead of the girl, I want to say a girl. What would I use? Excellent, una. Okay, all right, let's change it for a second. Let's go to amigo. So I'm talking about a friend. But actually, let's make this one plural. So let's say friends. So this is a group of boys that are your friends, or a mixed group. As long as there's at least one boy in the group, it's going to end with an O, okay? And then because there's more than one, we're going to add an S too. Okay, so let's say I wanted to say the friends. So which one of these am I going to use if I'm talking about the friends? Los, yes, los is the correct answer. Los, okay? And then what if I want to change this to the feminine form? So let's say I'm saying a group of friends that are girls, and I want to say some friends that are girls, some girlfriends. Which one am I going to use? Some girlfriends. Unas is the right answer. Okay. So hopefully that'll kind of help you. And we're going to be using these. So you always want to make sure that you look at whatever you're talking about, whether it's friends or the boy or the class or, a family member. And if you want to say the, you're going to use one of these four. If you want to say you're going to use one of these. All right, so let's go on to making things plural now. So when you want to make things plural in Spanish, let's say you're talking about a group of friends or your classes or your teachers, okay? So in Spanish, there are really two simple rules to making things plural. So this is the rules that you can follow. If the word ends in a vowel, add S, okay? So this one's pretty easy. So muchacho becomes muchachos. Good. Okay, so muchacho becomes muchachos. Now here's the one that's a little bit harder. If it ends in a consonant, add es. Okay, so if we have the word profesor, which means teacher, okay, how do I make that plural? What do I have to do? That's right, you have to add an es, profesores. Okay. So that's kind of the main rule. So remember, all describing words and articles, the things that we just went over here, these are articles, and describing words are things like funny, gracioso, cómico, serious, serio, tall, alto, short, bajo. All of those words must also become plural. This is something we don't do in English. So we don't say the boys are talls, but in Spanish, they must agree, they must match, okay, with the noun they modify. So if let's say, so if the noun is plural, boy, I wrote this too quickly, the describing words in the articles must be plural too. So let's see if we can change these sentences to the plural form. Okay, so we have el muchacho alto. So I want to make that plural, okay? So I'm saying the boy tall. Remember, Spanish is backwards, so it would mean the tall boy. Now I want to change it to say the tall boys. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the word muchacho. How do I make that plural? Well, it ends in a vowel. It ends with an O, so I add an S. Okay, same with the word alto. It ends with a vowel. Okay, so I'm going to add the word S. Now, L, ooh, this one is actually not going to follow the rule, and that's why I put it first. If it ends in a consonant, you add an ES. Well, it's not LS. So this is the one time where this does not follow this rule. If it ends in a consonant, add S. In fact, you have to kind of go back to the articles over here and remember that El means the, and when we make it plural, it becomes los. Okay, so that's the one time that this rule right here doesn't really follow. Okay, it doesn't follow the rule. So here's what it's going to be. It's going to be, move this up, los muchachos. Remember, I just have to add an S to make it plural. Altos. And remember, I have to make altos have an S too because describing words and articles must agree. They must match with the noun they modify. So in this sentence, muchachos is the noun, altos is the describing word, and they have to match. Notice how they both have this os at the end, so they match. Oh, and look at this. This one even matches right here. It has an os. So everything in that sentence matches. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next one. Let's see if you guys can do this. So, la muchacha rubia. Okay, so let's see if you can do it. So how do I make la plural? If you don't know, you can always look back here. La, how do I make it plural? Las. There you go. Okay. Get back in the right spot there. So las. And then how do we make muchacha plural? Yes, add an S. How do I make rubia plural? Do I have to add an ES? Nope. It ends in a vowel, so it's rubias. Good. Okay. All right, let's try this one right here. Now I have the word una, okay? So I want to make una plural. So let's go back over here. So we have una. How do I make it plural? Oh, it becomes unas. I just add an S. Pretty easy. Okay. So unas. Okay, profesora is my noun. So profesora. And then what do? Just add an S because it ends at the vowel. And the next word, inteligente. Let's make it plural. Inteligentes. Now, oops, I totally misspelled that one. Inteligentes. Okay, so notice that we have unas, profesoras, but intelligentes doesn't end with an AS. And that's because inteligente is one of those describing words that doesn't have to change for gender. It's neutral. So a boy can be inteligente and a girl can be inteligente. So all you have to do is add an S, inteligentes. Okay, all right, and the last one. I'm going to throw kind of a wrench in the process again, okay? We have the word un. Now, it ends in a consonant, so you'd think you'd add ES. But again, articles don't always follow the rules. So un, what does it become in the plural form? Unos. Okay, so articles, like I said, are kind of the ones that don't follow the plural rules. All right, so here we go. Un becomes unos. Okay, professor, we're going to make that plural. Professor. Okay, now professor, oh, that ends in a consonant, and this one is going to follow the rules. So if it ends in a consonant, add ES. Profesores. Okay, and then I have this new describing word, intelectual, which it looks like intellectual. It's just another word for smart, but I chose it because it ends with an L, which is a consonant. So intelectual. Now, how do I make it plural if it ends in a consonant? Add ES. There you go. Unos profesores intelectuales. So in Spanish, to make things plural, remember if it ends in a vowel, add S. If it ends in a consonant, add ES, unless, let me see if I can get over here, unless it's a article. Okay, article. So L becomes los and un becomes unos. So that's kind of the exception to that making things plural rule. Okay, all right, guys, that's it for this week's lesson. Make sure that you answer the questions in Edpuzzle and make sure you mark the assignment as done on Google Classroom once you've watched this video. Have a great week. Gracias. Adios.